There you go. So welcome to Startup Monterey Bay Connect. We're actually here to network, and we can network now, but we're not just online. Share and learn to find out what's happening in the region around entrepreneurship and innovation, and build a community. So this is the Connect team. Hi, my name is Brad Barlow. I am the Executive Director of the CSUMB Institute for Innovation and Economic Development. Rest of the team, we have Mary Jo Stang. Mary Jo's down in front here. Dan Ripke, Director of Economic Development. Dr. Jenny Kwan, who is not with us. She may be online. I don't know. Lynette Lathrop, who does everything. She actually runs the place. And Andy Rebego, who's not here this evening. Aaliyah Ibarra, who is the master organizer for Startup Monterey Bay Connect.
Thank you.
If we happen to get it because she made it happen. And Marianne D'Souza. Marianne, where are you? Oh, there you are, over here, our marketing person. Cool. Thanks to our sponsors, we have a growing list of sponsors for our programs and our marketing partners, KZU, Monterey County Weekly, Santa Cruz Works, and the Monterey Bay Economic Partnership. Tonight, we are featuring a panel of companies who are doing really, really cool innovations in sustainable packaging. We have We Use, Little Feet, Infinirel, Drisco's, and Cruz Palm. So this should be really fascinating. Hearing from them all the things they're doing to get plastic out of the waste stream. So if you're online, let us know who you are. Put a note in chat about who you are. Let's see, can we go, let's do a real quick, hello, my name is, and I work for, we gotta go quick. We'll go past the line.
I'm Deborah Bradley. I'm with the Institute for Innovation and Economic Development.
Deborah Bradley, Drisco's.
Bert Monk, Infinirel Corporation.
Mitch Barliss, We Use.
Tom Armstrong, Wade Summers.
Emily Lippy, Miss Lippy's.
Mike Kaufman, Oceanic Expeditions.
Mary De Souza with iiED, Oceanic Expeditions.
Fred Cohen, Angel Dex at We Help Grow Companies.
Miranda Sampson, I'm a student at CSUMB.
Whoops.
Nicholas DeLuca from Little Feet Packaging.
Al Sandbar, XRC Labs at Venture Capital.
Oh, wonderful. Welcome, welcome. And we got a few people hanging out in the back. And who are?
Randall Stein, Lion Ventures.
Excellent. Thank you very much. All right. We've said hello. What do we got next? Oh, we have an announcement from Michael Matkin, who is with UC Santa Cruz with citrus and cider program, and he's going to tell us about those. And my tech crew is going to help us get switched over to him.
Great, thank you, Brad. Yeah, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes.
Yep, you can hear?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, sorry about that. Welcome everyone. I'm sorry I'm not down there with you in person. My name is Michael Matkin. I'm the Executive Director of Citrus and the Banatao Institute here at UC Santa Cruz. Citrus is a multi-campus research center. There's a center here at Santa Cruz, headquartered in Berkeley, UC Davis, and UC Merced. So we do a lot of support of both student and faculty research and startup ventures that are aiming to create solutions to significant social challenges. And the program that I will be talking to you a little bit about today is one that we just started in the last couple quarters. It's called the Citrus Initiative for Drone Education and Research, and we are providing students, faculty and staff on our campus with training in the use of aerial drones so they can apply them to their own work as well as the generally support research on campus. So we just finished our first cohort of student pilots. 12 of them passed their FAA Part 107 drone pilot certification, and we placed a number of them in jobs with local companies and internships. So we're excited. We hope that you might have a need for drone pilots, and you'll reach out to us and we'll pair you up with some very experienced students. So a couple things that we have going on coming up on the 17th next week. We have a demo day with one of our industry partners, a company called Skydio. Skydio is notable in that they're one of the few US built drone platforms, so they can be used in federal funded research and contracts. They make an amazing piece of equipment, and they're going to bring a number of their drones as well as their software applications. So if you come out to that event, you can fly their drones, and they'll also show you what their really innovative software can do for you. So 17th, it is from 10 a.m. until 4 in the afternoon at the Hay Barn on Santa Cruz campus, and UC Santa Cruz campus, and that the little URL there will take you to registration, and it'll give you more information about how to get there. So we hope to see you. It's going to be an ongoing program throughout the day from 10 to 4. So if you show up at any time, you're going to be able to jump on the joysticks and fly their drones, and they'll walk you through their platform. So hope to see you there. We'll jump to the next slide. The other event that our CIDR program and Citrus is involved with is Drone Camp, which you may have heard of. We've been running this for 6 years down at CSUMB and the UCSC MBEST property down right next to the Marina Airport and the Joby facility. June 27th to July 1st this summer. It's a hybrid event. You can either participate virtually, or you can come in person. And obviously, if you're in person, you're going to get some hands-on drone flight experience. But this event is focused on giving you a really solid introduction to drones, as well as all of the different software platforms you can use to process data. So it does have a bit of a focus on research, but if you are interested in drones and you would love to get some experience, this is a great opportunity to do that. And again, the URL is right there for you to register. So we hope to see you at Drone Camp this summer. If you have any questions, I'd love to answer them now. Otherwise, I will make sure Brad has my contact info. So if anyone would like to reach out to me, just do so.
Great, thank you very much, Michael. That sounds like a lot of fun. So we actually get to drive the drones at the event.
Yes.
Yeah, cool, excellent. All right. Okay, here we go. Oh, it's time for the monthly news quiz. So I'm going to call Mary Jo Zeng up here to take us through and tell us and ask us great questions to see if we know what's going on.
This is it. All right. Okay. This is cool. Trying to do things online and in person. Okay, so each month I try to come up with 3 recent stories about something kind of cool that's happening in our community in the startup world. And some of these items we are putting in our newsletter or on our Twitter feed. And some we look, we find out what's happening in other newspapers and stuff like this. But we're trying to keep on top of what's happening in the startup world. So let's start with the first question. Whoops. How do I? Such quick. Who are the two new investor advisors that Cruz Palm, which was the 2018 Startup Challenge winner, recently announced as they open a major production facility? And the Cruz Palm people cannot answer. All right. Now. Oops, that's the answer.
Wow.
Pretty cool, Toby's on here. Oh, some people already voted online. All right, we have to figure out this voting in person and online at the same time. All right, we'll try with the next question. It's not moving. All right. What is the name of the new co-working space in downtown Monterey? Oops. All right, it's called the Pearl Word. And what is the unique ingredient a Carmel company is using to launch in their new cat food? Anyone want to guess here?
Dogs.
Yes. So the options were cannabis mixed with soy protein, mice, or rats. Okay, so who wants to can in person? Who's pushing the cannabis? Okay. Anybody for mice? Okay. Anybody for rabbit? Okay, so at least in person, we think it's cannabis. But it's really mice. And this was in the Monterey Herald. So
Are the animal rights activists somewhat upset?
I don't know. I don't know. That was pretty cool. All right. So we'll work on the quiz going forward to see how we can do this going forward. So we have a newsletter called startupmontereybaygamble.com, and you have it's a monthly newsletter. Encourage you to sign up for that. Santa Cruz Works focuses on the startups in the Santa Cruz area, and then we have a lot of social media. If you're a startup has some pretty cool news, please share it with us, and we share it with our network as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Here we go. All right. Let's see, upcoming events, what's happening? There's some cool stuff happening. Coming up pretty quick, Wednesday, June 1st, Santa Cruz is running. Santa Cruz World 2022 is going to be up at UC Santa Cruz. It is going to be a combination of a job fair and pitch competition, both going on. If you want to pitch this pitch competition, time is short. Applications are due tomorrow, the 11th. So if your application's in, they're going to sort through the applications. They're going to take the top. They're going to select 20 to pitch at the event. But it's going to be a great event. Go up, see the pitches. I've seen some of the companies that will be pitching there. Some of them last night. Great companies. Some of them are ones that were at Startup Challenge last Friday. So that's a cool event coming up. May 11th, that's tomorrow. There's going to be a webinar, IP for small businesses. You can RSVP for it. This is a free webinar at tinyurl.com/May IP webinar. And this is going to be led by the IP Society. Coming up. And next month, we'll be back here for on June 14th. Startup Connect, and our theme is going to be innovative spaces in Monterey Bay. Gotten really fascinated with, there are some very cool spaces happening. Dust Bowl Brewery is a cool place to be, and Alvarado Street, and those others. And we want to feature some of those because they add to our community. So we're going to have a really cool selection of those for next month. So let's talk about an event that just completed, Startup Challenge 2022, which is the 13th year that Startup Challenge won. And it was our lucky year, actually. We were back in person. It was great energy. It was so wonderful being there on Friday and having real people there and interacting and finding people that could help them with their businesses. So we wanted to take a second and feature the companies that won. So in the student division, the grand prize winner was Bash Collective. And I don't think they're with us tonight, but they're doing fashion, both real world fashion and digital fashion skins for gamers. So they're crossing the digital world and the physical world in a very cool business. And that's two students who grew up in Santa Cruz. They're actually at CSU Long Beach, but planning to come back to see Miranda.
You should let everybody know that they're charging like $8 per skin online, which is approximately what you pay somebody in Asia to make the physical one. So their margins are like 100%. But the pricing is incredibly high for those online skins.
Yeah, so hopefully they'll sell lots of them and do really well. In the social venture division, the runners-up were Treasured Trees. They're making trees look kind of like Christmas trees, but they're for displays. Very cool. And Set Free Monterey Bay, which is helping to rescue people who've been caught up in human trafficking. Both very cool businesses, but the winner was WorkArc. Is Kirsten on with us tonight? Can you see the folks who are online, see if Kirsten is on there?
Yes.
She is.
Yes, I am.
Can we give her a chance to give us 2 seconds on Kirsten? If you would tell us what is WorkArc and what's happening next? What are your next steps with WorkArc? Congratulations on winning.
Sure. WorkArc is a hybrid business. It is a nonprofit. On our nonprofit side, we are finding rural people and, oops, sorry. We are finding rural people and we are training them to do remote work. And on our for-profit side, we are then reaching out to business clients and sourcing the remote work for them. And our next step is to actually incorporate as a 501c3 and get our first workshops going, hopefully this summer.
Very cool, Kirsten. Congratulations on winning this year's social venture division with WorkArc. And
Thank you.
the next division, the Main Street division, runners up for Pizza Sauce. Guess what they make? You get 3 guesses, but the first 2 don't count, right? And Oceanic Expeditions, and we do have a man from Oceanic Expeditions. Tell us real quick, what does Oceanic Expeditions do?
So we offer whale watching trips out of Moss Landing, and we're a smaller boat. We take 6 people on the boat. We're US Coast Guard for 6 people, and we focus on drone workshops. I wanted to talk to Michael for a bit about that. It's really cool. In photography, we focus on photography and videography with wildlife.
Very cool. Congratulations. And the winner in the Main Street division this year was Miss Lippy's Dumpling Party. So tell us, what does Miss Lippy's do?
So it's an interactive dining experience where I bring fillings, I teach you how to fold, I cook, and you eat. And we're making dumplings, which are just savory or sweet, a little more souls. I mean, any filling you can do.
Talk a little bit about your journey getting this company started.
So I started making dumplings in school, just, a couple years ago. But, and then it became a thing that I did for my family over the years. And I've been working in software for the last 10 years, but I've started to transition into making this my full-time business.
And what's next for Miss Lippy's?
More farmers markets and selling frozen and hot dumplings.
Cool. Congratulations. Well done. All right. And the big division, the venture division, runners up were Lavender Creek. They make lavender-based products. Paneltech ADU, which makes auxiliary dwelling units, very cool business. And the grand prize winner was Little Feet Packaging, who we're going to hear more from later this evening. But tell us real quick, what does Little Feet do? They make little feet.
We make sustainable packaging for little feet in the future so that they don't have to deal with the plastic. That single-time plastic is polluting our oceans with. So that's is the product that we make.
Cool. Excellent. Congratulations. We'll hear more detail about Little Feet a little bit later this evening. Little Feet not only won the venture division, but they were also the crowd favorite. So they were the big winners. Let's give a hand to all the winners of this year's Startup Challenge. All right. Congratulations to the winners. And now it's time for our main presenters tonight. We've got a really cool set of companies that are doing some cool innovations in packaging. We've got Deborah Bradley from Drisco's, who's going to talk about what they're doing to try to get rid of the plastic clamshells that we all know and hate. Toby Corey is going to talk about Cruz Palm. Mitch Barliss for Reusable. Nicholas DeLuca, Little Feet Packaging. We'll get some more details on those. And Bert Wank is going to tell us about Infinerel. So, if you've got a question, if you're online, put your questions in chat, and we'll rescue those from chat and pose them to our presenters. And we are ready. We are going to begin with, let me introduce Deborah Bradley from Driscoll's to talk about the cool innovations they're doing.
Cool. Do you want me to use a microphone?
Yep, it's all yours, and you're comfortable driving.
Yep. Sounds good. Okay, hello everybody. I'm Deborah Bradley. I work at Driscoll's in our research and development business division. I do finance and business intelligence, but I know all of R&Ds. So I'll share the cool innovation we've got going on today. Thank you for having me. It's a wonderful organization. I live in Monterey and work in Watsonville. So Brad and I are talking about doing some collaborations already. So really great. So just a reminder, probably many of you have seen and heard of Driscoll's, and hopefully they're in your refrigerator. We are a very large company. We sell strawberries, raspberries, blackberries, and blueberries. If you go into any retailer, Safeway, Lucky, you'll run right into what we call our berry bunker. And that's what you see when you walk in the door. That's very intentional. That was created by our founder. Just a little bit about Driscoll's. It is a family-owned company. The family is on the 6th generation of owners. They started growing strawberries in the Pajaro Valley, which is basically Watsonville 150 years ago. And they've always been really good about being innovative. Over 100 years ago, they were the first people to come up with a strawberry breeding program. They identified traits they liked, bred strawberries for, you might get sweet or red. So it's a really fascinating company. It's currently a $5 billion in revenue company. We're a global firm. We have, you can see we've got operations all over the globe. Our biggest operation is our Driscoll's of the Americas. We're headquartered here in Watsonville, but we grow berries in Australia, New Zealand. We're just breaking into the China market. That's really exciting for us. And we continue to grow. A fun fact about Driscoll's is our demand continues to outstrip supply. So we really had to come up with a way to fix those plastic clamshells. So it's a really fun history of Driscoll's. Its growth and excitement there has been driven by innovation, and they've always embraced kind of risk-taking What's interesting is the original plastic clamshell was created by a guy sitting in an airplane seat. We used to have corrugated, we used to have packaging that would leak, it wouldn't ship well. And one of the former employees was sitting on an airline, got served a sandwich and looked at the plastic sandwich packaging, turned it over and decided, hey, this would be a really good package for us to put fruit in. And why do I say this? Plastic is what we're trying to get rid of, but that was the ability to create that packaging that consumers like, where they could see their berries, is really an accelerant to how Driscoll's ended up growing. For us, having people eat healthy food is really a good thing that we always try to strive for. So a little bit about our packaging. You can imagine a $5 billion revenue company. We generate, probably a lot of you guys see this in your trash cans, unfortunately, but we're generating quite a bit of plastic in our clamshells and other parts of our business. So this particular innovation was born in our Driscolls of Driscolls of Europe. Europe has a regulation that wants to get rid of all single-use plastic. And so we thought that was a real challenge for us. And we first looked at it, how are we gonna do this? It's been a way we've done business. And we embraced it as an innovative way to deliver delight to the consumers. So what you're looking at here is our paperboard plastic. In this new packaging, we have reduced the plastic by 94%, and all the cardboard you see is 100% recyclable. This is pretty much in most of our packaging in Driscoll's in Europe, and we plan to roll this out all over the globe. Something that's really, I always find fascinating as a finance person is you want to be sustainable, but sustainability also means being economically sustainable. Because if you can't make money in your venture, then you might not have a long history. When we did consumer research on this paperboard packaging, we're 2 to 1 when we asked the consumers, do you think this product is higher quality? We showed them the paperboard, new package versus plastic. 2 to 1 thought the product was higher quality. And then when we asked, would you pay more money for the paperboard versus the plastic, it was a 3 to 1 response. So amazingly, we made this huge investment in paperboard, and it has delivered really well for us economically because we're now getting a premium for consumers. And I can share as we think about as a community, how we share ideas among each other, maybe there's an opportunity to open source some of that research. Because when people can see what we say doing well by doing good, it's a real motivator, and it can provide extra funding to people's business, either through bank or equity. So this is our pack line in Portugal. All of our fruit is what we call field packed. So there's still manual harvesters that go through the field. They are packing the fruit now in the paperboard pack, and it still has to go through a pack line for sealing. One of the things that, as Driscoll's has grown, and many people probably know in the food business, is food safety is extremely important. So there's a lot of different areas to comply with, and having a cover and seal, especially during transportation, is really important for food safety reasons. And this is our paperboard pack in the Whole Foods in London, and as I say, right now it's in Europe, but we're gonna export it around the world. So that's it for questions. I don't know if I have a couple more minutes, but do we take questions?
Questions? So we have time for questions?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm curious with the perishable, like obviously strawberries and whatnot. With the packaging, right? And the strawberries are only on for so long.
That's,
And then what happens to the packaging of the unsold?
that's a great question. One of the things with fresh berries, that once they're picked in the field, once they come off the stem, you have about 2 hours to get them into a cooling or large coolers. And then they're transported through cooling. And then if you look at the berry bunker, it's always cold. So I think if to answer your question, these packaging not only were geared toward the consumer, but they are marketed to retain that type of temperature as long as possible. So obviously it leaves our hands and it's up to the retailer, but we work with a lot of the retailers to maintain the berries at a certain temperature so they don't rot and can be eaten. Yeah, your other question is what happens to the packaging that's not reused?
Yeah, I didn't know, like, you know, if there's any difference on when you have to throw out berries with the sustainable packaging versus the traditional plastic.
Oh, that's a really good question. I'll have to get back to you on that. Yeah, not sure about that. We don't freeze any berries. There's a lot of people that do that. Many people have said, why don't you freeze? But that, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's a good way to handle food waste, but we don't because it's kind of a commoditized product. We get a premium for our product, and if you freeze them, you're competing with a lot of different people. So that's, commoditized product would be anybody can get in that business, and that's not very hard. It has a long shelf life. You look at Drisco, it's a very complex business, very hard to deliver fresh berries. Yeah.
Deborah, it's great to see that innovation in packaging. How are you sourcing it locally, and have you been impacted by the supply chain constraints that we've seen in the last year?
Great question, great question. We are not necessarily sourcing it locally over in Europe, and Europe has had a little bit less of supply chain issues than we have had here in the United States. Fascinating because a lot of the packaging comes through Rotterdam, that port there, and that's 100% automated. So some of the problems we are seeing in our ports in California, for example, do have to do with, they're not geared toward automation. But we do here in the United States, we have definitely seen packaging supply issues, and how we have changed and addressed that is we have flipped from just in time, we would get some of the packaging from Asia, and now we're having to build up and hold a lot more inventory and packaging than we ever had before. But it's a key differentiator for us because we're able to get berries out to the customers, and our other competitors have been stuck without packaging. So, good question.
How long what's your schedule for rollout? How long will it be until you completely replace the plastic packaging?
That's great. I would say in our largest division, Driscoll's of America, as I speak, our people that work in logistics are over in Europe checking out the pack line now. I think the goal is by 2026 is to completely get rid of the packaging. What that means for a large division with Driscoll's of America is a lot of retooling. Your coolers have to look different, your shipping, your logistics. And because we work at such scale, there's just a lot of planning and investment that is required. We haven't seen that. They engineered that to make sure that wasn't possible. Again, when you're dealing, once you hand off the packaging to retailers, it's really hard to monitor it because then it leaves our truck and goes to them. We have not seen any shelf life difference and really engineered the packaging toward that. There was a lot of people that thought there would be more leakage, and that's very bad from a retailer standpoint. We tested it in several iterations so that we didn't see any degradation in the shelf life.
Cool. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right. So next up, we have Toby Corey to talk to us about Cruz Palm. Toby, you're ready to go?
I am. Can you guys hear me okay? Can you hear me, Brad?
Yes, we can hear you.
Fantastic. So I'm Toby Corey, early investor, board member, and chief operating officer here at Cruz Palm, located in the heart of Santa Cruz. Many of you might be aware of some of these statistics and how acute our plastic problem is, but for those that don't know all the facts, I think all of us know styrofoam and expanded polyethylene, which is used in a lot of protective packaging. It doesn't degrade. It sits in landfill for 400 or 500 years. There's been 8 billion tons, that's kilograms of plastics that's been produced since 1950. In 1950, we were producing about 2 million kilograms, and today over 400 million kilograms of plastics are produced every single year. There's 5.2 trillion pieces of plastics in our oceans. That's 46,000 pieces for every square mile. And by 2050, there'll be more plastic in our oceans than fish. And to bring this to home to reality here, just in the United States alone, if you buy a TV, that thing's usually loaded with styrofoam. And there are 235 million cubic feet of styrofoam just in TVs in the United States alone. And to show you what that equals, if you took 1,000 football fields and layered that 6 feet deep, that would give you just the EPS alone from TVs. So we've got a really staggering problem. The good news is a lot of corporations are moving to achieve sustainability and ESG goals. So the movement has been really quite refreshing to see. So Cruz Palm's mission is to accelerate the adoption of sustainable material. And we're doing that by starting out in the protective packaging space. That's a $20 billion market opportunity. We're mainly focused on electronics, appliances, durable goods, but basically any package that has styrofoam or expanded polyethylene in it, Cruz Palm has created a 100% compostable solution that provides all the cushioning properties of those petroleum materials. And the beauty of it is it's compostable. So you could take Cruz Palm, you could chop it up, put it in your garden, you could mix it up in a water your grandma's plants. It's a remarkable technology breakthrough. And what makes Cruz Palm so unique, and why I got excited about the company when it spun out of UC Santa Cruz, was they were focused on a really hard problem. So there've been lots of companies that have tried to produce biobenign materials, and they've succeeded, except they're very challenged on 2 fronts. Number one, most of them need special manufacturing equipment. There's not a lot of companies or venture capitalists that want to invest in manufacturing equipment. That also means that typically these materials cost a lot more. Customers don't want to pay more for their protective foam. And the other major stumbling block has been scale. You take a company like Dell that ships tens of millions of monitors a month, they need a lot of foam. They need it very, very quickly. So you need a solution that can scale up to meet those demands. So what Cruz Palm did, what was so unique and so breakthrough, was really focused on producing a formula, a compostable biobenign formula that can be run on existing manufacturing equipment. And turns out that was a really, really hard problem to solve. So we started with extrusion machines that are designed and built to run petroleum-based materials, styrofoam and expanded polyethylene. So figuring out how to produce a formula that was compostable, that could run on this existing manufacturing equipment was really, really quite challenging. We spent 5 years in development to perfect that. We've iterated over hundreds and hundreds of different formulas and have reached a breakthrough in producing a formula that can be run on existing manufacturing equipment. So what this allows for is very rapid scale. So if a company like Sony, for instance, who's an investor in Cruz Palm, wants to start shipping major quantities of flat screen TVs, we can tool up instantly to meet that demand. So the way that those manufacturers work today is they purchase what are called pellets. These are either styrofoam or expanded polyethylene pellets. They run that through their extrusion machine and produce a foam plank. And you probably see some of those materials and electronics equipment that you might buy. That's all extruded. There's trillions of dollars of extrusion investments that have been made worldwide. So Cruz Foam's model is to basically regionalize pelletization. So the beauty of our formula is that the ingredients that we use are all fairly accessible commodity ingredients that can be sourced all over the world. They're not specific to one particular area. Our core ingredient where we started was a really interesting biopolymer called chitin. Chitin comes from crustaceans and mostly shrimp. There's a huge abundant waste stream of this chitin material. It's largely used in pharmaceutical type applications. It's also used in beauty products, nail polish filler. As a matter of fact, Allbirds just started selling a t-shirt that's made out of chitin fibers. So it's a really interesting biopolymer structure, similar to what you get with styrene and ethylene that are all petroleum based. We've been able to utilize this really interesting biopolymer and other natural organic ingredients where we could simulate all the properties of styrofoam or expanded polyethylene. Typically, styrofoam is more rigid and polyethylene is more resilient and more flexible. So depending on the item that's being shipped, what kind of density and what kind of compression strength that it needs, a brand will go with either one of those two products. The Cruz Foam comes in both a more resilient and rigid foam material like EPS. It also comes in a more resilient performance properties like an EPE foam. So what we're able to do is source this material and ingredients all over the world to limit our carbon footprint. We also use far less electricity and material given the petroleum counterpart, and we literally can be pelletized anywhere around the world. Once those pellets are produced and they can be sold into an existing manufacturer or a licensed manufacturer that can literally just take and swap out the petroleum pellets that they're using and swap that out for Cruz Foam pellets. There's some slight production modification, but it's very minor. So the existing extruding machine, the existing feeder, the existing barrel and screw and die all can be utilized, and we can greenify all of that manufacturing equipment where it can now produce the same foam that's, instead of being petroleum based, it can be Cruz Foam based. So the company's been very successful in its fundraising. We've raised over $7 million to date. Our most notable round was completed at the end of last year, where Sony Ventures, an institutional investor, At One Ventures, led that round. As you saw from the first quiz question, both Ashton Kutcher and Leonardo DiCaprio, not only did they come in as investors, they've also joined our advisory board. It's just not a tombstone on our website. They've been really working very closely with the company, providing us access to potential investors, customers, and it's really been just a fantastic partnership. The company's getting ready to start its Series A round of financing. We're putting together all of our material. We have entered into a business relationship with Whirlpool, where we'll begin to help them transition out of their expanded polystyrene. So their goal is to become completely EPS free as fast as possible. So we're starting with a line of stoves. They ship 3 million stoves of this SKU a year. So we'll be swapping out at the base of the stove are 4 EPS blocks that cushion that stove in transit. And then there's another expanded styrene piece of foam that sits on the console that also protects it in transit and unpacking. So we're working closely with Whirlpool, with their packaging provider, Sunoco, to allow that transition to go, for them to go completely EPS free into Cruz Foam compostable foam. The company has an incredible pipeline of business opportunities. All of our demand has all been inbound. The company's done an exceptional job with its search engine optimization, its PR activities, its brand building. We're in discussions with the likes of Honda, Suzuki, Dell, HP, Sony, Vizio, IKEA. So it's really been refreshing to see the transition of these companies moving in a sustainable direction. They're doing it for 3 main reasons. Number one, many of them have finally woken up to the climate change challenges that we have. and are moving to reach sustainability and their ESG goals. Number two, they're also reacting to people like you. The consumer unboxing experience plays an important role and reflects either negatively or positively on the brand. When you open up a package and see loads of packing peanuts or a TV or piece of furniture, and you can't even put all that foam in the recycling bin or any other container, it's really a very negative brand experience. And number three, there's significant legislation that's been coming down on a state-by-state level to ban polystyrene and polyethylene. So they're trying to get ahead of that, the legal agenda as well. So companies getting ready to start producing revenue at the end of Q3, early Q4 timeframe. We're looking to continue to expand. Initially, we're focused on working directly with these large enterprise customers. And then as demand continues to grow, allow for licensing and an indirect model where any manufacturer could license and purchase Cruz foam pallets and begin producing foam. We're just starting out in the protective packaging space. It's a $20 billion market opportunity. We've got a significant lead and competitive difference in this space. And however, foam's used everywhere. There's no reason technically why we couldn't enter into the construction industry, which is about twice as large as the packaging industry. Automotive uses a lot of foam. Marine uses a lot of foam. So this is an extraordinary opportunity. And our goal is to really focus on how do we accelerate the adoption of the sustainable material and allow for a more circular economy and a more sustainable planet. So I think I've used all my time. I'm happy to take some questions, and thanks for everyone for hearing the Cruz Foam story.
Do you have some questions from the audience? Yeah.
Really fascinating, Toby. One question for you on the, you dealt with the raw material. Have you dealt at all with the blowing agents, the methane and butane that are primarily used within existing manufacturing processes to blow foam? And do you still require those?
I'm sorry, there's really a bad echo and feedback. Could you type that in? I see one question I could answer, but if you could type the questions in the chat, then I could hit those. It's just impossible for me to hear from that room. But one of the questions in the chat is, the question is, why not use cellulose, which is a polysaccharide like chitin? What is the advantage of using chitin? We actually do use cellulose fibers as well. So there's a combination of both the base biopolymer chitin, which has just a better branching structure from a chemistry standpoint. We also use cellulose fibers. We use natural plant plasticizers and other lubricants in our formula. So there's a series of host of ingredients that we use that give us the compostability, while at the same time, the structure, certain formulas that need to be more rigid have a different formula composition as those that are more resilient and more EPE-like.
So chitin is present in seeds as well as in other biological products. Do you buy chitin from another source, or do you actually extract it yourself?
No, we buy it from a source, typically in either, usually it's a powder form, and we buy from a waste stream. There's very abundant waste streams all over, footprints all over the world. So instead of it going to landfill or some other disposal, we're grabbing that waste stream and utilizing it within our operation and supply chain.
Thank you.
We can. You're right. There's chitin, and actually there's chitin in insects. There's chitins in other plant material. Over time, there's no reason why that as those quantities become more abundant, and we can fulfill the needs of our customers, we can source chitin from other types of sources.
Well, thank you very much, Toby. Cruz Foam, I would note, one of the co-founders of Cruz Foam won the Student Division of Startup Challenge in 2017, and then the company came back in 2018, entered the Venture Division, and won in 2018. So we're looking for great things to come from Cruz Foam as they get into their launch later this year. All right. Let us move on to Mitch Barliss and Reuse.
Good to be here. My name is Mitch Barliss. I am a sustainability entrepreneur with a specific focus and passion on taking single-use products and packaging, rethinking it, re-engineering it, and adding in a service component so that it can circulate in a reusable model. And I'm here to tell you about my latest project. I have a couple different projects. I started in this space with reusable shopping bags. I like to call those the gateway drug to sustainability. If we can all remember to bring our reusable shopping bags and use those, that's the precursor to a behavior change to remember to do other sustainable actions and then possibly reuse as well too. So I want to take us on a journey right now that's slightly different from the other packaging models that we're hearing about today. And this is a circular model, a reusable model. And so I want to share a project that we're working on right now, which is reusable packaging for fresh foods. So I will also let us know, again, a reminder, I think it's important, what is going on, the facts in terms of packaging. And also, it's just quite mind-boggling. It's just unbelievable. So several years ago, the EPA did a study, and there were 1 trillion individual pieces of single-use used in the United States. This is all types of consumer packaging, including food. And that cost of that was $135 billion. So that's using something once and then discarding it at a cost of $135 billion. And then just to grasp that scale, just enormous amounts of plastics, as we've heard today from others, are entering our oceans, our land, and unfortunately, even our cells in our body, in our bloodstream. They say that plastics are now in us. And that's 15 billion trees, too. I had to look that up twice because that seems like an awful lot of trees. It was true. And the thing with paper pulp right now is they're predicting a worldwide shortage in about 4 to 6 years. The trees just aren't growing fast enough. We're just using them faster than they can grow. Consumers, like has also been mentioned, we want something different. I love e-commerce. I order a lot. I get the box, I get the packaging, I walk outside, I put it in the garbage, and like something's not right here. There's just something not right with all of the packaging that we're seeing these days. And so consumers are willing to pony up, pay a little bit more for a sustainable product and its packaging. And these are some products that are currently in circulation. That is actually a reusable burger tray at Burger King. That's through Loop. And that's a reusable cup too, beverage cup. And then we've got a lot of health and beauty products going to a reuse and refill model as well. And then we've got Happy Returns. This is a reusable shipping box from Returnity. And that's another company that I'm involved with. I was the founder there. So let's look a little more deeper here into some more facts. It costs money when we throw something away. So maybe 10 years ago, we would say that it's going in the garbage. The city will take care of it. The county will take care of it. There's not much cost. We have a huge landfill. Well, things are changing. There is a definitive cost to every single item that we throw in the garbage right now. Someone has to pay for that cost. We're running out of landfill space, and we're running out of the resources to make that original product as well. And so states are adopting something called EPR, that's Extended Producer Responsibility. What that is another name for that you might have heard is the Amazon box tax, the Amazon packaging tax. And so 2 states so far have adopted that. There are 11 others that it is in discussion right now, and our state is included. And basically, what that is a small tax on every single consumer product and food item that we buy that is to cover the disposal cost. So some facts, we've got a lot of packaging going into our landfills. Today we share a lot too, so reuse is about sharing things. And then something interesting to think about is that we as humans have been reusing literally since the caveman days, since our early ancestors. More recently, we've had milk bottle and the container, shipping container as models of reuse. So what we've developed is a RAS-based reusable packaging system. RAS stands for Reuse as a Service. Based on SaaS, it's a platform where all the service components are housed, and all the components circulate the product. So for reuse, it involves cleaning, the return logistics, and also the transport. We also have a technology, consumer-based app, and a back-end system, and we design the reusable packaging. And it circulates this way. This is based on a pilot project we're going to be doing in Santa Cruz this summer. We're going to circulate reusable food-to-go items, reusable cups, reusable pizza boxes. Consumers can download the app, sign up, pay for a subscription, get reuse credits. They'll return them to bins. They'll receive a reminder to remind them to return. And then we'll go around and clean, sanitize, and inspect. The impact and cost, environmental impact and cost comparisons between single-use and reusable. These numbers now are changing very fast as we learn more about what the costs are and the environmental impact is. Lastly, I want to share a project that is close to home here. We are in discussion with a couple companies over here in the Salinas Valley. One is a berry company and one is a lettuce company, about something we're calling packaging at purchase. And so we're going to provide reusable containers, there we go, to the supermarket. There will be bulk bins of the item. The consumer can use one of our reusable packages, which are clear, which was something we learned that Deborah talked about, because we want to see our produce. That was very important. There's also some technological features built in there that help preserve the food. So food waste in America and throughout the world is becoming a big problem, and we're taking that into consideration in our design. Consumers can also bring their own reusable container, and then they would simply place that on a scale with a thermal printer to get the tear weight, to get the weight of that container, and that would print out a UPC code with the vegetable or fruit product and the tear weight. They're going to scan it. A small deposit is taken, just like Strauss Creamery is doing with their milk bottles right now. So we're seeing that infrastructure for deposit being implemented across the US right now, thanks to Strauss. Packaging is returned, deposit is released, and then we're going to reward the customer for choosing reusable over the single use. And that reward is part of behavior change that we're seeing is necessary to get us to think about an alternative path to packaging. So I think I'll end there, and if anyone has any questions, sorry. So reusable, I'm going to hold it right here because I think our at-home people, the reusable packaging, the model, the closed loop model really can be applied to anything that we're seeing now with a single use. There are roadblocks, there are barriers, And that's why what we're looking at is to create kind of this 21st century model that is changing the paradigm with the infrastructure and the packaging itself, including technology. And so once, we're not the only company doing that, and it is going to take all of us, and that's why we call the company we use, to begin to look at this type of thing. I can see in the future, and I don't think it's very far, 5 years, 4 years, we're gonna go home and we're gonna have a garbage can, a recycling can, composting can, which we're now getting up in Santa Cruz, you guys will probably be getting it here soon, and then a reusable can. And that reusable can will be for standardized reusable packaging, and it will be circulated in that way.
Cool. Thank you very much. Thank you. We're looking forward to all these cool new packaging innovations coming down the road. Let's see, where's my clicker? Okay, and next up, we have the winner of this year's Startup Challenge and still champion, Mr. Nicholas DeLuca.
That's it. Is that better? Okay. Perfect. Wonderful. Thank you, and first of all, thank you to CSUMB for giving us this opportunity thank you for all that help. We're preaching a little bit to the choir, but we've got a global crisis in plastic pollution, and you've heard a lot of statistics. I think besides packaging being about 40% of plastic usage, 160 million tons. Amazon delivering about 600 million pounds of plastic, with 25 million pounds of that ending up in the oceans. What we're focusing on is bubble wrap. And if you just look at the amount of bubble wrap that's made every year, you could cover San Jose 1 to 2 times, the entirety of San Jose. That's what we're focused on. Plastics are recycled much, much less than paper, about less than 10%, versus paper that's 80 to 90, sometimes 95%, I'm sure you've found. Our first product is Pubble. Little Feet Packaging is really committed to becoming an innovator in replacing single-time packaging use and developing these products for doing this. When I got started in packaging about 20 years ago, in air packaging, polystyrene peanuts we were filling about 31 astrodomes of polystyrene peanuts. We'd be looking at about 100 times that today. And I developed a company called Novus Packaging, which made inflatable air packaging. That was my daughter at the time. The model for that was taking a roll of plastic and then shipping that flat roll versus shipping polystyrene peanuts and then inflating that on site using proprietary equipment. In the same way, we're now taking that model and doing that with paper to create a paper bubble wrap. So there's a first step process you can see here that makes these rolls, and then the second step where you get the finished bubble here. So this is a little bit about the process. We take rolls of paper, and then we have a converting process in the middle, and then we make this compact, very compact roll, which then gets placed on a second piece of equipment, which we built all this equipment ourselves here in Sand City, and then expand that. This is a machine that we're now building that's a just-in-time unit. So you buy that very compact roll that can ship across country, and then you can expand that on site, on demand, if you're building packaging that needs to be made. We're also developing a former for example, an envelope. You can line envelopes with this, and this is a just-in-time former as well. We're focusing on e-commerce, very large market, personal care and cosmetics. We're just starting out. We just got an order for 3 pallet loads on last Wednesday, so that was exciting. But again, focusing in on the personal care market and letting that pull through then to distributors. and then moving and storage as well. One of the really neat things is the second phase, we're going into thermal protection of items, including food and pharmaceuticals. There are some products out there, including Thermocell, which just raised $160 million from Goldman Sachs. And this is a test that we've done with our product where we've lined it, made a box, thermal box with Pebble, and the red is us and the blue is the Thermocell. So if anybody wants to invest $160 million, we're ready to accept. The value added, again, 100% recyclable. We're making it completely recyclable, completely compostable, and it can be recycled. So this product is made from 100% recycled paper as well. Very low dust compared to other products that are used in for bubble wrap. It's very flexible and very good cushioning properties as well. You can see here, these are, this bottom curve is our shock loading, and the higher you get, it's the more shock that an object would experience. And this is the static loading from about 0.1 to 0.2 pounds with plates and cups represented by that. I'll go back. This is the just-in-time former. Again, we can do that. Another really neat thing is we can compact the sheets together once they're made. So you can sell a block of the material and then use it. And we're doing that on Amazon. We have 5 patents on our products. One is actually licensed from Sealed Air Corporation. We have 4 other patents that are ours. 2 of those patents have issued, and the person issues as well. Milestones, we began Amazon trials last year. We had a good year testing the product, making sure it's a viable product in the market. We've gotten a recent order from a large home goods store, and expected in June a second one as well. This is what we're selling on Amazon. This is the compact unit, and we're getting, we have about 4.2 or 4.3 stars on Amazon as well, with about 50 reviews in. So a little bit about myself. I founded Novus Packaging in early 1993, and continued on and sold that company in 2000. Novus has estimated sales of about 500 million total today from inflatable packaging. And then worked with Sealed Air for 10 years with about 60 patents. And Steve Martin, our Director of Sales, is out on the East Coast. And Nigel Rivers is here building machines with us in Sand City. And Andrew Perkins is also a partner. And we also have a partner, Coastal Fab, they're a local partner here in Sand City. So they do a lot of our welding. So we really appreciate your time. We'd love to explore. If you have any ideas on uses for the product, or might be an early customer, early adopter, we'd love to share with you and send you samples.
This might be a dumb question, but the bubble,
yes.
Are those filled with air?
No, they are pressed. So in the first step, we're taking it and it's flat. It'll be flat like that. And the second step presses that. And in doing so, when it presses it, it kind of creates the form and structure. It's a little bit like an Italian dome on the Vatican, and the structure of it is such that it supports the weight. So, hey, you're welcome to build it.
So what's it going to take to ramp up so that you can supply Amazon with all of its needs for bubble wrap?
Amazon that's a big challenge. We would just-in-time formers are the best thing we believe to get onto the line, because they don't want bulk either. Nobody wants the bulk in their store. So first finish the just-in-time former, and then put those in a trial line, and then run that. We did a similar thing with Novus at Williams-Sonoma. You pick a line and then sort of show them the improvements and the value, and then go on.
So on a more sane note,
Thanks.
what is your entry strategy? Who are the customers you are going for?
So we've got 2 branches. One is retail, just going directly to the consumer. The second is on the distributor side, but pulling through with cosmetic companies, And also with some of the home goods stores, so through those home goods stores and home goods retailers as well. And those seem to be, those are the ones that hopefully soon you will see on your shelves. So, without getting too much.
Thank you very much. But you have a public days. All right. And our final presenter for tonight, Bert Blank of Infineral. You won Startup Challenge 1 or 2 years ago.
2020.
2020, 2 years ago. So tell us what's been going on at Infineral and where are you going from here?
Great, thank you, Brad, and thank you for hosting, and I appreciate your time this evening. Bert Blank, founder and CEO of Infineral Corporation, that stands for Infinite Reliability. And no, we do not make packaging. We help the circular economy by dramatically reducing the need for packaging. Infineral is making renewable energy more sustainable. The big background behind this is that when we all see solar panels and wind power farms, there's a little hero that's not visible. It's a piece of electronics called the inverter. It is the heart piece of the system, and when you have a heart failure, you have a big problem. The industry has a big problem because there's a lot of inverters failing. How do we solve this? To address a huge financial issue. There is, in the US alone last year, $1 billion lost in investor returns. Now, if you lose 40% of your promised returns as an investor, you would think you would have a problem. The problem only gets bigger unless we address this issue. On the sustainability side, if the electronics has to be replaced prematurely, that means more packaging. That's not good. Even worse is that the power that is not used, solar panels sitting idle because the electronics can't pass it through the grid, now the power has to be backfilled with non-renewable sources, which is exactly what we do not want. When we talk about heart failure, we have a solution. It's called the EKG that measures the signature of your heart, like in a patient. In this case, we measure the health of the heart, the electronics. So it's an energy cardiograph. It's a piece of instrumentation that is used by the technician to measure and sense the signatures pre-failure so you can repair before you replace. That means also the packaging becomes smaller. Then these electronic boxes are 20-foot containers in general, so pretty large packaging. Not sure if the public will work with that yet. So we want to get back to a high ROI for all parties in the circular economy, and therefore our EKG system is already validated by patents issued in the US and Europe. We have, since we won our Monterey Bay Startup Award in 2020, raised nearly $400,000 in grants, prizes, and awards, including the Department of Energy, California Energy Commission, and that helped us to develop relationships to our renewable asset managers, the solar and wind farm operators, and also those that have the battery power facilities, like in Moss Landing. It's the biggest in the world, and they're going to grow. What is more important is to really share how we impact the circular economy and our business model, how we make money on this, make everyone money. First of all, it's like a doctor's checkup. We come to the plant once a year. Your annual push-up exercise is the inverter's exercise on the plant in a real operating condition. Now, during that test, in 10 minutes, we can tell if the patient is a happy patient that's healthy, you come back next year, or it has issues. At that point, we need to escalate our service model, which means that EKG is now staying on site to make sure that our plant operator can intervene in the business outcome and repair things right away when the signs of failure are apparent. That means we only use an EKG instrumentation when it's absolutely needed. That means we don't have to make as many, and we don't need to ship as many. That also means we go from a reduce the packaging to a reusing the packaging, as now not only that the plant operator can reuse this EKG for the next inverters on the plant, which there's usually hundreds of them on the plant and tens of them are failing, But he also can then use some packaging and reuse it when he ships it to other plants. And as we grow our business, our clients have multiple plants in multiple locations. So that's a huge, super high reuse of our equipment that enables our clients to essentially get a 10x their return on investment on our service model by repairing at a much lower cost than it is to replace the entire equipment. Our team has done very similar things before. Andreas Schneider, our Chief Marketing Officer stationed in Germany, we're already global. He developed the service level agreements for telecom companies and sold $3 billion in contracts, very similar to the contracts we use here. As a director of the service department for an inverter manufacturer, he actually scaled the company, the service division, up from 20 countries to 70 countries. So we're both T-Birds, Thunderbirds, we know international business. My background is semiconductors, so I know how things fail. I defined 14 power management product lines, the most claim to fame is the first lithium-ion battery protection chip. That was in 1997, before lithium-ion was actually really popular. With that, I'd like to invite you, if you see that QR code, to participate in our active crowdfunding investment round today, which is open. We have pilot customers waiting for those EKGs, these expensive machines, to be produced and shipped with Cruz Palm and Camel wrap. Thank you very much. And we look very much forward to making the renewable energy reliable and affordable for everyone to participate in the green future economy. Open for questions.
Thank you very much.
Fred.
Why do you believe that these people that make inverters aren't going to build those sensors and detectors into the inverters over time? And can you license your technology as a manufacturer of the inverter?
Thank you for this question. Actually, this is an excellent question. Prices in this economy have tumbled about 85% over the last decade, which means there's such a thin margin. For sure, not any dollars left for highly sophisticated EKG systems in an inverter that's essentially costing the same amount. Impossible. Totally unfeasible economically. The licensing part is good. As a bit of a foreshadowing, as we address more applications and go into the electric mobility space, electric vehicles, air taxis, which all rely on power electronics, we scale our system from a James Bond suitcase to a chip, which is my background. At that time, when it comes to pervasive, we can license the technology, we're open to license it, key market. In fact, I had a discussion with Space, Department of Energy contacted us, very interested in resilience of power systems on the front lines and on drones, for example. Very good opportunity. Thank you, Fred. I hope I answered that question.
Very good. Any other questions? All right.
Going once, going twice.
Hopefully you get lots of traffic to your WeFunder campaign.
Yes, sir.
Very cool. All right. I think that brings us to the end. I want to thank all of our presenters, Deborah Bradley from Driscoll's, Toby Corey, Cruz Palm, Mitch Barliss from Reusable, Nicholas DeLuca from Little Feet Packaging, and Bert Wank from Entrepreneurial. Congratulations once again to our 2022 Startup Challenge winners and contestants and all. It was a great group. We look for great things from them. Join the in-crowd, sign up for our newsletter so you know what's happening. It comes out once a month. There's the address you can go to get the newsletter, or just harangue one of the interns and they'll happily help you get signed up. Thanks again to our many sponsors, including, of course, White Summers, who is represented here ably by Tom Armstrong. And we'll see you in June. We'll look at some really cool, innovative spaces in the area, making this a great community to live and work in. Thank you all very much. We'll see you next month. Have a great time and stay warm.